White light.
I always see that. Captain.
Is that me, Barry? I call you Catherine Rye all the time.
That's me.
Well, Catherine Rye is you. Well, I've got the right company.
Captain Rye.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm sorry, how you doing? I just want to know, I know you guys are going to be coming in.
Like last time, we're not going to sit and wait for all those. When's the awards? When will we go? Oh, when will we? Hey, Robin, I got milk.
I dress up well.
I haven't finished this.
Oh, you haven't?
I haven't finished
Well, just out of curiosity.
You stay on that side.
Right to choose.
Long bill.
All right to choose. So what is it for the? It's for a right to
They just need to approve to align the county code with the state code. The state allows breeding.
Called me the other day
Los Angeles County does not.
Oh yeah, I'll
We're hoping that they will
I
vote
have
to
to
that.
check with them because now in the spring.
So basically, this is like for the, because I never had one.
You're missing a lot.
So what is it? So basically, what is this? It's like for like you have it in schools.
No, we can just buy it at the stores.
Like to go buy it at the grocery store.
Yeah. Yes, that's a good thing.
And what's the thing?
Lucky to be here.
I gave a 43-page report saying that all tests by universities show it isn't. But the CDC has bacteria protein in medical protection. So they've gotten in our face and stopped us from having raw milk.
I'm down to go look at this. Since the dawn of man, wrong.
Oh, should I be dressed?
No, you just get me excited.
I want milk.
Now.
I want milk.
Make a tiny sign for her. Come on, we need more people out here.
Dashed up.
Yeah.
So their meeting starts at what time?
Good. You want to say anything to the camera?
What?
You want to say anything?
Oh. our right to drink raw milk. It's too early in the morning to be voracious about this.
I can put it in writing for people that understand.
What I do with it.
Just the pasteurized milk that shouldn't be pasteurized.
$90,000.
90 billion.
$90 billion.
$90 billion a
So
year.
those pastures companies are making fortunes.
Well, they're making money.
You saw the paper yet? Yeah.
They're not only making money, but you see, the bigwigs are getting.
The bigwigs who are
Well, like the ones that, the owners of the processing companies, they're getting big rake-offs. They're getting big rake-offs if they can process milk. If they can heat the milk and then cool it back down again and sell it 2 weeks later on. See, the contention is that raw milk doesn't keep as long. Well, I just happen to know that I produced milk that kept for 3 weeks under refrigeration. Well, if it sours in 3 days, naturally people don't like sour milk. But so they process this milk that is sour in 3 days and lengthen the shelf life so that they can sell it so they wouldn't have to feed it to the hogs. I say if it's not good to drink, feed it to the hogs.
That's right.
But actually the hogs got the better end of the deal.
Yeah.
The stuff that we fed the hogs, we're getting better milk than they're getting now, than the people are getting now because of pasteurization.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's utter madness.
Do you think we stand a chance against the bigwigs?
Oh, I think so.
When they want to make such a profit?
What's that?
When they're making such a big profit?
Well, that's true. That is the biggest problem. That's the biggest obstacle is to break through the profit barrier. Because not only the food processors are making money, but our pharmaceutical companies are making money selling antibiotics to farmers to feed their cows. And pretty soon it catches up and bites us in the butt.
That's right.
So I mean, there's nothing better than raw milk. And
It is.
ask any
Don't they use
hog.
antibiotics in the cows that produce the
Well,
milk?
that's the trouble. That's the problem. Is a lot of people will feed their cows antibiotics. If the cow has a sniffle or something like that, they feed them all, give them all some antibiotics, kind of get them through that thing. Bad news, but they're doing it. And if we could have some incentive, if people would realize what they're getting, what they're buying when they buy pasteurized milk. They're buying milk from every Tom, Dick, and Harry. But if they buy raw milk and it tastes good, you bet it's good. Because raw milk has the decency to turn sour before it becomes unfit to drink.
That's right.
And that's one.
Signed in to speak yet?
I haven't signed it yet. But I sure will.
You represent
Well, I know him well, and I'm fighting for the cause of raw milk, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm 73 years old, I want the right to buy it. I don't necessarily want to produce it, although maybe I'll have to come out of retirement and produce it too.
Okay. I do. Why would I step back and
Yes, I'm sure a lot of people are.
You send the facts to Wild Oats, didn't you?
Pardon?
The facts to Wild Oats Market?
Yes, I did.
motive. That's all it's about.
So we'll go in
Harry Gibbons. Hi there.
We're going to go in a few minutes.
What's Melanie's last name?
Is Arlene going to speak? She is. Yes, she
You know what
is.
Melanie Craig's last name is?
And you're going to speak.
When is it starting?
Harry Gibbons.
presentations.
They're doing presentations.
And they just now started the presentation,
Yeah.
so it'll be about 20 minutes.
You know, they do the prayer, and then and after the prayer, then they start the presentation.
Right.
Then they're giving signals. Oh, like we have one presentation that's going to the probation department. They have to do youth coverage.
Speaking of the cop.
She's flat. When she came home from school, went to sleep, didn't wake up till slept all day. And this morning I was like, you're in the valley. You don't know about something like stuff, right? Like we used to see that.
And also fill one out for Sophie.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Okay, do it.
I like
So, John, good, everything's beautiful?
Yeah.
No, but we use his connectors in our stuff. Actually, my company is one of his customers.
Don't worry, don't worry.
What do we want? Raw milk. When do we want it? Right now. What do we want? Raw milk. When do we want it? Right now. What do we want? Raw milk. Right now. What do we want? Raw milk. When do we want it? Right now. What do we want? Raw milk. When do we want it? Right now. What do we want? Raw milk. When do we want it? Right now. What do we want? Raw milk. When do we want it? Right now. What do we want? Raw milk. When do we want it? Right now. What do we want? Raw milk. Right now. Raw milk. Right now. What do we want? Raw milk. When do we want it? Right now. When do we want? Raw milk.
Got your line.
Right now. Raw milk. Raw butter. Right now. Raw milk. When do we want it? Right now. What do we want? Raw milk. When do we want it? Right now. What do we want? Raw milk. What do we want it? Right now. What do we want? Raw milk. When do we want it? Right now. When do we want it? Right now. What do we want? Raw milk. Right now. Raw milk. When do we want it? Right now. What do we want? Raw milk.
Dr. Feldman. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Jonathan Fielding, Director of Public Health, Department of Civil Services, and joined by John Chenoweth, who is Director of Operations. In response to the board's direction, we've provided information on what we see as the implications.
Would you speak louder?
Sorry, my apologies. We looked at what would be the implications of different approaches to grading raw milk. And let me be clear that our issue is simply protection against communicable disease. In terms of the risk versus the benefit, the risks are well known. Kids are disproportionately affected. About the CDC reports that about 4% of raw milk, for example, in one national study had listeria, which is quite serious. And despite the fact that the vast majority of milk today is pasteurized, the vast majority of milk-related outbreaks are from unpasteurized milk. In addition, in our county, in the year, last year that there was significant production, that is from July 1998 to June 1999, about 58% of the time the milk was held because it didn't meet the standards that the Milk Commission had set up. And usually that was because there was contamination with coliforms, that is fecal material, in the milk. In addition, we asked the state we tried to understand what the State Food and Agriculture Department was doing in terms of their monitoring. And it was clear in terms of the responses that the single herd that has been selling milk, which is now centered in Watsonville, that the state was not meeting its own requirements in terms of the testing process. And based on my understanding of what they should be doing, in some cases they should have discontinued sale of that milk, and they did not. So we recommend working with the state, asking them to consider a hold and test process for grade A and guaranteed raw milk, and to establish a standard for coliform bacteria. And again, I want to iterate that our concern is making sure the milk is as safe as possible, not to prevent its sale. Thank you.
My amendment to the ordinance would be that while the Department of Health Services report expresses concern regarding the state's inspection system for guaranteed and grade A raw milk and the results of their inspections, the state has a responsibility to ensure that appropriate procedures are being followed when approving the sale of raw milk statewide. Would move that the board approve the ordinance that will allow the sale in Los Angeles County of guaranteed raw milk and grade A raw milk in addition to certified raw milk. Further moving that the Department of Health Services work with the state to ensure that the state inspection system for guaranteed and grade A is properly applied to all dairies producing raw milk. So that would be the amendment. Mr. Yaroslavsky.
Was it the Milk Commission? Did the Milk Commission change its policies or the county policies in the last few years? Is that what happened here? What has transpired that has created this problem or whatever?
The raw milk producer no longer produces, and the ordinance applied to Los Angeles, but the producer or the adjacent county, but the producer is now in Northern California. There's none in Southern California.
I know that. Was there anything that our Milk Commission did?
The Milk Commission was established, in 1991? It's been there a long time, I'm sorry. What they decided in the early 1990s, I don't have the exact date, they required, well, no, in the early 90s, they started to require daily samples taken from the holding tank, tested for total bacteria, for coliform bacteria, and for E. coli. In the mid-90s, I don't have the exact date again, they added salmonella testing twice a month, and in 1998, when new technologies for more rapid test of salmonella became feasible, they required testing of each batch of milk for salmonella using a test that produced results in 48 hours. So I'm not sure specifically what change was made that made it more difficult.
Okay, but now let me ask you a couple questions. Most of the counties in this state allow the sale of uncertified, raw milk. Is that correct?
Well, it's variegated
in accordance with state standards.
Let me look.
Reading from your own report.
Yeah. Well, some counties don't. Alameda County, for example, Fremont, Livermore, and Alameda prohibit raw milk sales. Humboldt prohibits, and a bunch of many counties do, as do our cities of Long Beach and Pasadena.
Yeah. So staff surveyed a sample of other counties to determine whether they permitted raw milk to be sold. Alameda County prohibits the sale in unincorporated counties, unincorporated areas.
Right.
Humboldt County also prohibits the sale of raw milk. Counties of San Mateo, Santa Clara, Orange, Riverside, Ventura, Santa Cruz, and San Francisco permit raw milk sale, as do the cities of Long Beach and Pasadena. those are a lot of counties. Now, I guess my question to you is, what do we know that San Francisco and Santa Clara and Ventura and Riverside and the cities of Long Beach and Pasadena don't know? I mean, you know what the argument's going to be, and I'm
Sure. Well, I can't really speak for what kind of due diligence those counties have done. I can tell you that when we looked at what the state was doing, that we were concerned because it did not appear that they were meeting their own standards and that they were allowing milk to be sold from a herd that had a score that was much lower than that would have permitted sale. And we've read now under a request for information the reports of those inspections, and they indicate very serious and frequent pervasive problems.
What is the, from a public health point of view, how serious is this? You're the chief public health officer of the county. How serious is this compared to other public health concerns that the department and our society have? I guess that's the question.
Well, the percentage of people, we don't have good information on what percentage of the population consumes raw milk, but from what we know, it's a small, very small percentage. So from that fact alone, it's a smaller concern than many others. Our concern primarily is children, and a significant percentage of the cases, for example, salmonella, which can be gotten from milk, occur in kids. In addition, Salmonella Dublin, which is the strain most associated with milk, is much more serious. The infections, about 3/4 of them wind up hospitalized, and the death rate is 20 to 25%. So that's our primary concern. On the scheme of overall disease burden, it would certainly not be as high as many other things, but the level of risk that is increased is significant compared to the risk of pasteurized milk.
Do you have statistics that differentiate the incidence of salmonella from the consumption, as a result of the consumption of raw milk, compared to the norm in the population?
There's some data from here, some data from the CDC. One of our problems is that there's a very low rate of reporting, probably no more than 5% of all foodborne illness. But the vast majority of foodborne illness in milk comes from the very small percentage of milk which is not pasteurized, based on state and national data.
And what do we expect will be the result if this motion is approved, if this change of the ordinance is approved? I understand that the one dairy or the one producer or distributor of raw milk in San Bernardino County ceased doing so. Is that right?
Yes.
So now
at least not producing it under these county program.
So by reducing or weakening our standards, which is what this would be, no matter which side you're on this issue, it lowers the standard of testing. What guarantee is there that raw milk distribution would reappear in this county or in the adjacent counties? I mean, is there any, maybe you know the answer to this, are the dairies saying that if you lower the standards, we'll produce raw milk again, or what?
I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that, Supervisor.
You know?
We have representatives here.
Maybe they can address it when they speak on a public comment. All right, that's all I have for now.
Supervisor Burke.
Now, it was in '95 when they had there were 10 people in California who had the salmonella virus. Was it? I mean, I know that there were cases in '73 and '85.
Right.
In the last decade, there were 10 people in '95.
This refers to the outbreaks, Supervisor. There may well have been a lot more, but it's not reported and didn't occur in more than one person at a time, at least to the best of our knowledge.
I say 10 people during some particular time.
Well, this was an outbreak, Supervisor. This was an outbreak which was traced to a common cause, and it was Salmonella typhimurium, a Copenhagen variant, which basically the fingerprinting that was done determined that it was the same as found in the raw milk. So,
what kind of salmonella do you get from eggs if you eat raw eggs?
You get the same
Is it the same one as this? Or
type
different
of
one?
salmonella.
No, which?
Yeah, but it's a different variant, but it's the salmonella.
And then from turkey, if
You
you
get-
touch the turkeys, or if you clean them on your sink and you wash and you cut vegetables or touch any raw food, you get another
You can
one.
get different.
But they're
varieties.
different ones.
You can get different ones.
My understanding is what's being proposed here is there would be a warning on the milk that this is the possibility of being infected, and that there would have to be some kind of a sign, which is the way other counties do it. Is that what's being proposed here?
Supervisor, there's already a warning required on the bottle, and that warning indicates that there are potential problems for children, older people, pregnant women, and those whose immunity may be low. The concern is that oftentimes people don't look at those warnings. There's so many warnings on so many things these days, and in fact, in our investigation of one of these outbreaks, people, didn't remember seeing any warning.
Was that cheese or milk in 1995?
The 1995 was raw milk, Supervisor.
Not cheese.
Not cheese. We did have that in 1985, that large outbreak. It was related to cheese that contained raw milk.
Okay, thank you. Harold, Dr. Stubbe, Raymond Noel, Bill Danemeyer. Good afternoon. Danemeyer.
I'm Harold Stubbe, and I'm here to represent the raw milk. I'd like to, can I speak on speaking?
Yes.
I'd like to say quite a few things here. I hope I can think them up. But anyway, I've been on raw milk for 83 years, and I've never had salmonella that I know of. And I still drink my raw milk every day. And what they're talking about here, what the previous people said it here a minute ago, I have a copy here of a veterinary journal from England, London, England, that states they made an experiment on human beings, and you have to ingest 2,000 to 4,000 million organisms without showing too many symptoms. In general, will only cause mild diarrhea. When we had a bill up in legislation in 1969, and it would help before the Sacramento. Anyway, and the health department was fighting it fiercely, and they passed through that raw milk, certified raw milk, would be available. And lo and behold, the health department didn't want to go along with this new order that the legislation put in, and the health department then came and wanted to put in that salmonella Dublin would be classified the same as underland fever or, TB and all those kind of things. And Danemeyer had this bill in the legislation, and he asked me, can you live with it? I said, absolutely, they cannot find any salmonella in it. So that law was passed that they had to, if there would be one salmonella found in milk, then it'd be recalled. And so the health department picked up milk from our dairy. I'm going to show you what kind of conclusion this is. Picked up raw milk from us every Monday morning for 4 years and could not find a salmonella. And they came in with a more swap system. which was developed, my understanding, is in New York. And by coming in with this, when they had this in New York, to really find out where its source could come from. And here they come in with it, and now they can check raw milk. So in 1977, they came on again, another neighborhood, and they checked again for salmonella, and they went ahead and used the more stop system where you put a gauze into milk with a tractor on it, you pick up salmonella, and would swirl it around and then do that 2 times in a new end on it, do that. Just trying to get certified raw milk and all raw milk out of this nation. And I think it's such a mistake. Our attorney can tell you a lot more. I've been living on raw milk, as I said before, for 83 years, and I still get my raw milk. I get it right from the farm. I maintain the Lord give us the finest food in the world. It's in raw milk. You can live on raw milk. You cannot live on pasteurized milk. Nowhere in the world. And I maintain nobody got salmonella from our certified raw milk. It was only implanted all the time. And let the attorney tell you about that. Remember, we used to produce certified raw milk, and all milk was produced by hand milk. You may have milked half open bucket. You milked the fly and debris into the milk. Now you had to run to the strainer. The strainer had to be changed mid-afternoon with fly and debris, and all that milk was consumed as raw milk. And nobody got raw milk. Raw milk has the immune in it. In fact, I have a sheet there showing you what all you lose by processing. When you have your raw milk, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, I'm getting
yes, sir. My name is Raymond Novell. I'm a consumer of raw milk, and I represented Altadena Dairy in the 80s. Tried 8 lawsuits against Altadena Dairy, 2 jury trials, all to defense verdicts. All of the jurors asking me afterwards, what do they have in for raw milk? But what I'm most disappointed about today, and with all due respect to Dr. Fielding's statement, the vast majority of milk, foodborne outbreaks from milk or from raw milk is simply not a factual statement. It is untrue. I provided you with just a very short summary in 3 columns, the difference of the outbreaks of pasteurized milk, other foods, and raw milk. Raw milk has a warning label, the other foods don't. The largest foodborne outbreak in modern history came from properly pasteurized milk in March of 1985, when over 19,000 people were reported ill. At first it was reported that this had raw milk in it, but it turned out that it didn't, and the way they knew it didn't was because the coliform count was near 0. The plate count was near 400. You can't make raw milk that clean. Pasteurized milk is allowed to have 10 coliform and 15,000 bacteria per milliliter. Grade A raw milk is allowed to have 15,000 bacteria, the same. Massachusetts outbreak was actually 4 different outbreaks over about a 3 or 4 month period of time. Another outbreak that happened from raw milk was an outbreak of listeria that was associated with pasteurized milk in Massachusetts. We know from the Centers for Disease Control and the California Morbidity and Mortality Report put out by the California Department of Health Services that listeria is not killed in the pasteurization process. It is in pasteurized milk. If it's there, it won't be killed in the pasteurization process. So for someone to suggest that raw milk should not be available to those who want to buy it with a warning label, is to suggest that you just simply ignore every other food source that causes human illness. Dr. Fielding was right about one thing. Only about 5% of foodborne outbreaks or foodborne illnesses are reported. The other millions of cases that come from restaurants, meat, macaroni salad, cheese, those types of things, your vacuum cleaner at home, has been associated with salmonella. It's simply misleading and not giving you all of the facts to work with. The Mexican-style cheese outbreak in 1985, the Jalisco cheese outbreak, I actually tried that case here in Los Angeles County, across the way, to a jury for 5 weeks. And the jury, after hearing all of the evidence, testimony from Centers for Disease Control, from the California Department of Health Service, from Los Angeles County Health, all found that Altadena dairy raw milk had absolutely nothing to do with that outbreak. There was no raw milk in that cheese. That cheese was pasteurized. What they did find was some listeria in a cracked container of hoki cheese, which was prepared in the Altadena plant, but found in the dumpster at the Jalisco cheese plant open. That was the one that was tested to found listeria. They found no listeria in any of them. So to continue to say that raw milk has been associated with foodborne outbreaks is ridiculous. They reported a raw milk outbreak from Wisconsin, so I checked into it. I said, Wisconsin doesn't have raw milk. How can they have an outbreak? Turns out that a family was on a picnic after graduation in June, and they ran out of milk. They went next door to the farmer's barn. He had no milk, but he did have milk in a big barrel, which the horses had been slurping out of. So they took a bucket of that and took it back. The people got sick. That was reported, and is reported, as a raw milk outbreak. I suggest that that's an outbreak of horse food, consumption of horse food. I wrote to the JAMA, Journal of American Medical Association, a letter. Dr. Lundgren, who was president at the time, or head of that association, said, don't you think you ought to correct this? It's kind of misleading, and he didn't respond to me. But that's the kind of things we deal with. Dr. Fielding said people die. One of the, in the California statistics, Dr. Werner's statistics on Salmonella Dublin, the people reported hospitalized. One was an infant who had broken the femur bone, the largest bone in his body. That was an association with drinking raw milk. He was hospitalized because he drank raw milk. Another was a lady who died while swimming off the coast of San Mateo. Her death was associated with Salmonella Dublin. When I asked Dr. Werner about this under oath in testimony, both in courtrooms and in depositions, he said that he did not make any statement that those were the cause. And he also said another thing which I think is really important here, and that is Salmonella typhimurium is the most common type of salmonella. It's found throughout our food chain. And the reason, quote, we don't test for it in other foods is because if we did, we'd find it. If they tested meat, if they tested restaurants, if they tested any other product as much as they tested raw milk, we wouldn't have food to eat, because our food does contain those organisms from time to time. And our product, or the product, the grade A raw milk product, will have a label on it. People have to pay more for it. The last one I bought was $4.69 for a quart over in the Felix district of Clairvaux there. $4.69. I didn't buy it by mistake. And people seek it out. So our position is simply, as you have on your wall up here, free enterprise. If the people don't buy it, they're not going to package it. And if the people get sick from it, and one other thing, the Stubbe family since 1945, actually Harold since 1942, has bottled raw milk, ultimately certified raw milk. There's been billions of glasses of raw milk consumed by Californians, and not one time in this state has there been an outbreak of illness from milk. An outbreak defined by Dr. Werner as 2 or more cases, point source in time. So to suggest that this product should be treated differently than other foods, I think, is discriminatory and in violation of the free enterprise system. Thank you.
And also, permit the sale of raw milk.
Orange County
problems in Long Beach or Pasadena.
Orange County, Ventura, San Bernardino.
Mr. Mayor, could I just offer a suggestion? I see a lot of familiar faces in the audience, and I've heard their testimony on numerous occasions. The only folks that I've heard oppose your motion basically is the health department, and they're not really opposing it. They just, a difference of opinion, I think. Are there anyone else out there in support of that position? If not,
everybody who's signed up who would support, why don't you stand up because of the time factor? Thank you. Anybody?
Approximately 30 had to leave and go back to work.
I understand we have their names here. Thank you. And anybody in the audience who had opposed the ordinance?
I know the supervisor already casted a no vote for, she's over, but I.
Mr. Yaroslavsky.
Don, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to move the question then.
Okay, let me just, I would struggle with this since you brought this darn thing up, and wish I'd never heard of raw milk. But it's part of what we get paid the big bucks bucks for. I do respect Dr. Fielding's point of view and our health department's point of view, and I don't minimize it in the least bit. But I also have to say that my struggle has been I just don't see that the health of this county is significantly different. I haven't seen the evidence. If there is, I'm happy to see it compared to the other counties which have no regulation like ours. And I think it's a close call, but these folks have come down here several times. They want to be left to their own devices and do what they want to do and take their risk as long as we're advising quite openly or requiring the advice quite openly what the risks are. This is a lot safer than cigarette smoking. But I do want to say to the raw milk advocates that I am concerned about the health implications, because it isn't just about you. It's about if there is a disease problem or a carrying of a disease problem, then it's about all of us. And if the incidence is significantly higher than the rest of the population, and somebody who's a raw milk drinker is working in a restaurant that I frequent, then I'm now in the loop. But I don't see that open, even as Dr. Fielding, had to put it in the context of this whole thing. So I'm prepared to support the motion, but I do want to make one amendment. I want a formal study to be done for the effective date of this. I want the health department to monitor, based on previous to the ordinance as the control point, and monitor the incidence if there is a change of incidence of salmonella or any other related diseases, and report to us. Where's Dr. Fielding? Would a year be an appropriate time after the adoption of this ordinance? 6 months, and what would give us some quality information? Go ahead, come on up here so that you'll be on the record.
Supervisor, I think it depends on several things. Number one, how quickly milk becomes available under the state program that isn't currently sold, other than in Pasadena and Long Beach.
Right. Okay.
Number two, the level of consumption. We really don't have good information on how many people are drinking raw milk, and we don't have, so we need some evidence of that.
But you can tell if tomorrow this ordinance goes into effect, 6 months or a year from now, you'll be able to tell whether the incidence of salmonella poisoning in the county has gone up, gone down, stayed the same, couldn't you?
We can in general, but if it's a very small portion of the population that's drinking it, it may not affect within our confidence intervals for quite a long time, even though it might be much higher in that group, because it's a small portion of the population.
Well, I would ask that you provide us with whatever information you can that would either, just whatever information you can, 6 months from now and a year from now, on what's happened, if anything, in the raw milk related diseases that you've identified in your reports as a result of this ordinance passing. And if the end result, if the sample is too small and if there hasn't been any change, you ought to report that too.
If we had information, Supervisor, on how much was being sold and where it was being sold, that might contribute. I can't say we would get, but we don't have that information. That would be voluntarily on the part of the of Stoovies.
Well, okay. I doubt if they would have any objection to sharing that information with you, would they? Would you have any objection letting our health department know where you're selling, if you're selling?
If they're selling, they're not selling, haven't sold any for 2 years.
I had members of my staff looking for Pasadena and Long Beach and couldn't find any in Long Beach over the last weekend.
Salmonella rates stayed the same. They haven't had any raw milk in 2 years, so there's a preliminary study.
Well, actually, in one of your reports, there was a suggestion, if my memory serves me correctly, that there may have been a slight decrease after 1998.
Well, there's been several things going on. Of course, we've had a much improved retail food inspection system as well. So there are a number of things happening. But if we could find out how much is being sold, where it's sold, if and when the decision is to sell it, that might help. Again, I think the sample size is going to be very low, and as I say, reporting is very low, in the order of 1 to 5% of foodborne illness. So I'm not optimistic, but we'll do everything we can, Supervisor.
That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
But you know, it comes down to freedom of choice, and if raw milk killed everybody, we wouldn't be here today, because the people who came here had to live on raw milk until they got the other types of methods. But let me just appreciate those coming down, and we'll call the roll as amended.
Supervisor Molina?
Supervisor Molina. We're voting.
No. Supervisor Burke?
Aye.
Supervisor Yaroslavsky? Supervisor Knabe?
Aye.
And Supervisor Antonovich?
Aye, so ordered. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I would ask that we
the land of lakes it would recall.
call up item number 2.
Number 2.
How long does it take now when they pass it?
And basically,
What does that go? What does that mean? Stoobies is going to be.
I am.
Does it take 6 months?
Let's not get excited till we get out there.
No, I mean, it takes 6 months for it. I mean, I am going to get my bag. Thank you. Thank you.
We've been
Waiting
dealing
for your,
we've been dealing
for your
with dishonest
milk.
people for a long time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
This is item number 2.
I won't do anything. He hadn't said anything right today.
I think my... it's coming to right now. And then there's 2 therefores, number 1, number 2.
Thanks.
I asked them to eliminate number 2. I don't think that's necessary at this point, late data. But one, that they adopt a regional aviation plan that de-emphasizes growth delegates.
All right. Sure.
Yes. Take care. Well.
Does that mean that it's going to be does that mean it goes back on into the month? After so long of fighting these battles.
I know. We got it.
The way you control it.
Does that
Roger,
mean you
thank
get
you,
it
thank
in
you, thank you.
one
We
month?
did it.
Yeah, you did so much work.
Well, we all deserve it because we're together. I came here by myself 2 years ago. Didn't do a thing. People accept me and help.
Yeah. He's been on it for 83 years.
I'm watching. Hi, Dick. Nice to meet you.
You work for Stoobies? Four to one, Molina.
Wasn't paying attention.
Well, obviously she already made up her mind.
Terrific.
I didn't think Yaroslavsky was in the
Wow, 4 of them voted yes.
I thought Yaroslavsky was undecided. They've had enough about
My bad. We knew we were going to keep on.
these people.
That's part of it. I'll take 5,000 gallons.
Can you up my order, please?
They can start carrying it this
Who'd you
week.
call?
This week. Everywhere.
White Tiger yesterday.
Who'd you call?
They're not bootleggers anymore.
It was kind of fun to be a rebel, though, yeah.
Out there is a
I'm
piracy
not a
rebel.
rebel anymore. I call the guys the Malkins.
Thank you.
Yes.
They can carry stoobies as soon as you're ready.
Just looking at herself.
So great. We did it.
I'm the one that's coming right now. Thank you for the work. Thank you very much.
It's just tired.
You're welcome.
I can't believe it.
You could tell something was going on.
Last week, they were saying, 4 of them were saying
No,
no.
the Land of Lakes said they had the pasteurized butter that they had.
Well, you've got children who are less than 1 year old who are drinking. There's going to be an article coming out in the Time magazine in Canada. I did an article. He got rotavirus. He was in the hospital with had IVs in it. Now I know that lycopropidase in raw milk inhibits rotavirus. So I've been asked constantly.
It's wonderful.
Diet and this issue. You learn when you're young.
No, I learned only a couple of years ago.
Worse than a cake.
Organic raw milk.
It's going to be
I can't believe this. Because last week we pulled them and, one was nothing. Right.
So it'd be available very soon.
Right, that's it.
Man, all these constituents want the product. What do you care? Just do your job. If there's a problem, let us know. Nothing in here stops the health person.
Milk is ready already.
Look at him, a great potluck too. Hey!
Thank you. Her secretary, that was her health secretary sitting next to her. I think she was urging her to vote yes, and she still voted no. That's who that was, sitting next to her. Like kneeled next to her.
Oh, the one that kept going up with the
I don't know. All I know is I saw her at the end. When she was supposed to be voting, she hesitated. They had a little conversation. And when she said no, I saw the person go, it's like, so I knew that had to be her health secretary, the one who drinks raw milk.
Yeah, I saw her say no. She don't even mind. She was pissed off. But the woman with the black she changed
And lies, and he should be fired as a. I mean, you have to be accountable. You want me to go get the car? I mean, we're not in the dark ages. We're not a third world.
Off for the five, right up here.
Are these recorded? Do we have
Did you record
are they for $25 you can get a video?
But you got the whole thing? Okay, you got the whole
Very good.
Oh, you recorded what they were saying?
I'm sure he did.
Oh, what is it?
Go to the band place. Oh, that's totally.
So I find the fourth spot and I walk around.
Another part you put your hands so bad you went.
Good luck, you guys.
Thank you so much.
Right, all right.
You'll be at home.
Thanks, Raymond.
Thank you.
No, you did well up there. It was excellent. Because you went right on what they were.
Well, it's just so, I mean, I've heard it
Such a lie.
I was on the Today Show live with Dr. Bolton. That milk was pasteurized. Why do you say that? How can you have 0 polyphone and 400 plate counts and have raw milk? Nothing.
The health food you eat has 0 That's a prejudice built on.
What's your name?
Exactly.
Nobel, Raymond Nobel.
I'm going to go get the card because I have to load up.
Boyd and I are in the same office, so
Okay.
Claremont.
Oh, you won't. I won't lose you.
Yeah. All right, you guys.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Oh my God. 60 days to be
Right out with cream and then milk right out. Or it could be sometimes with the milk.
First the cream and then the milk.
Well, first the butter.
The butter, okay. Okay, so we got it. I can't believe it after all this time. We've been coming after coming. Oh. After all this time, we made it through the day with getting our raw milk after all this time. Thank you.
I've got to interject one story about a product of raw milk. A family back home in Minnesota, they were childless for several years after they were married, and they were trying. And I said, "You want kids?" And she said, "Yes, we love kids." Well, I said, "Here, I'll bring you some raw milk. That'll do it." I did. I brought her milk every so many days, and they had 3 children after that. Wow! And
not church. He adopted a child, and I told him that he needed more good food in him. So I gave him some raw milk. My wife got pregnant, so Dad adopted a child, and had one a year later.
Wow. It'll work every time. Every time. Absolutely. When it's an organic condition, it can be counteracted by organically produced raw milk. Absolutely. It's amazing. I have friends that are trying to have a child right now. Get them raw milk and get them to if they could get them to sneeze in the face of a cow soon to freshen, soon to have a calf.
That's the
enzyme. Wow. Yeah, blood, sweat, tears, urine, skin scrapings, fingernails. You feed those to a cow soon to freshen, or soon to have a calf, and consume that milk.
We won, yeah, that's hard.
Wow. Your antigen.
Say that one more time.
Whatever you may
We won, yay!
Yeah. Anything that has an antigen, and most conditions have antigens, that antigen can be can be alleviated. That will be alleviated. That antigen will be reduced in 30 days.
Wow.
Starting with the fresh cow or the cow that
nothing, the digestive problems I've had my whole life, nothing helps like raw milk.
Oh yeah.
Normalize it.
You've heard. I mean, everybody's heard an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But apples, raw milk, beans. It was the only solid food that I could drink that I could eat when I was about 2 years old. I had pneumonia in Minnesota. There we had bad weather can cause pneumonia. But anyway, the thing is, this pneumonia outbreak that I had at age 2, the only solid food that I would drink, that I would eat, is beans. The only liquid that I would drink was raw milk. And snap out of it. Here you are. Yeah, here I am, 73.
Thank you. Yes, but you pasteurize it and it's gone. Not to mention a bunch of other things, but that's the one I focused on because my grandson got sick.
Well, I know Aajonus and the Western Price Foundation are going to try to start getting raw milk reinstated in not every state.
Good. Well, yeah. I got a lot of information. I mean, I didn't even get to anything today. I just addressed Dr. Field because they were so wrong. I mean, at least he said, I really don't know.
I know. I liked how the conversation got so vague on his part as it went on.
Well, he had to because he did it. Facts are probably there. He was making false assertions.
Thank you very much.
You took it over after you retired.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right, you guys, take care. Give me a call if you need anything. Oh, no, I'm not.
But I'm set.
Are you taking off?
Do you want to go?
Okay, see everybody.
I'm getting hungry.
See Abraham. Joe, thanks for filming and capturing the moment.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun to watch.
Great. It's my favorite. I want it back.
Yeah,
You're getting it back. Where's your...
Oh, yeah. You bet.
So we'll see you in the stores.
What's your last name?
My kids need this. When is the meeting? Reversing what?
Because we need to reverse that. How could the health department get up and make...
Got it. See you guys. Victory!
They talked about 19...
Associated with raw milk was that lady swimming.
Yeah.
We didn't say drink our milk and it prevents drowning.
She drank the milk and then she went swimming.
She said she had salmonella and then she drowned and they said, well, that's a salmonella related death.
You drowned and had to do with salmonella?
That's crazy.
Then we really get down to it. We don't really say that was the cause. For the most part.
Is the lady drowned and that's got to do with drinking raw milk? That's crazy. That's nuts.
We had one associated case because a neighbor 4 doors down, raw milk, consumers, and the neighbor was complaining before.
And they choked him?
No, they just said, well, he may have got us.
He made what?
He may have got salmonella because he.
What kind of science is that?
It's not science. That's the issue.
No.
It's political. They know that.
So they're just totally corrupt.
Yeah. We'll see you in the markets in about 30 to 60 days.
Blatant statements that are totally inaccurate.
That's like the politicians now. We passed every term limits. So now that even gets you to
good there. Nobody ever died from raw milk.
I just like the milk.
Actually, live better from Why do they live better from raw milk?
You say that all your relatives drink raw milk?
Yeah.
The only one who's sick is the one who does it.
Yeah, my young grandson who hasn't had any in 2 years, he's the one that got hospitalized.
It's
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of variables. Anybody that says that's the only reason is full of themselves. But I like to think, why did my other grandsons? They were in the same situation he was. They never were hospitalized for rotavirus. And I know that raw milk has lactoperoxidase, which will inhibit or limit rotavirus. I know that. Johns Hopkins University did a study on it.
raw milk.
On raw milk and lactoperoxidase, yes. I mean, that's pretty big university down there.
Oh yeah, it's like the best in the country.
And I talked to the doctor that did it personally myself. I called her up.
What knew what?
Did the study on raw milk and inhibiting rotavirus infection.
Rotavirus is like
diarrhea. The kids get it when they're in daycare centers and in school. It's not infected.
Rotavirus is diarrhea.
It's not a problem for people even.
Okay, you guys.
Okay. Go, come on. Make it so.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say anymore. Everything went in our favor today. We're on the we're going to probably see the Stubby's milk in about 60 days in Santa Monica Co-op and where does the other market? Erewhon, Wild Oats, and possibly even Whole Foods. So we had a joyous day today. We should go out and celebrate. Everyone's overwhelmed by all this times that we came here. This was our 8th time here at the Kenneth Hahn building. And that's all I can think of right now.